To the April 13, 2023 Planning Commission hearing. I will now call the hearing to order at 1:02 p.m. Mrs. Sparza, can we please have a roll call vote? A vote, not a vote, a roll call. Just take attendance, please.
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. I'll take roll call. Chair Bonderson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Bauke?
Here.
Commissioner Boss?
Here.
Commissioner DeLuccio?
Here.
Commissioner Lodge?
Here.
Commissioner Wardlow?
Here.
And Commissioner Wiscombe.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sparza. So let's move on to number 2, that's preliminary matters. And first we have requests for continuances, withdrawals, postponements, and/or ex-agenda items. Ms. DeBusk, do we have any of those here today?
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. We have none.
Thank you. And do we have any announcements or appeals, Ms. DeBusk?
Also none.
Also none. Good. That's a nice way to start the hearing. So next, we're going to step right into public comment and take comments from members of the public pertaining to items that are not on today's agenda first. Mrs. Sparza, do we have anyone in person or remote that may like to make a comment?
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. Currently, I do not have any in-person speaker slips, nor do we have any virtual participants. We did receive some written correspondence for general public comment from Marie Herbert, which was distributed to the commission prior to the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, thank you. So with that, we'll move directly on to our new items of the day. That's item 3 for a project located at 1617 and 1621 Anacapa Street. Do any commissioners have any ex parte communication that they may need to disclose at this time? Yes, Commissioner Lodge, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I inadvertently had one when I stopped by the Monday before the site visit, and also Mr. Fort and his colleagues stopped by from the applicant. However, that was all that
Thank
happened.
you. Thank you for sharing your communication. I don't see any other lights on, so we'll continue. We have our project planner, Ms. Kathleen Kennedy, here from the city to give the staff presentation. If you're ready, I'll let you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Kathy Kennedy, project planner for this particular case. So this is an amendment to a conditional use permit for the Bright Start Child Development Center. The center is located at 1617 and 1621 Anacapa Street, as shown here on the vicinity map. It also has an off-site parking area at 1634 Anacapa Street. This is a parking lot associated with the adjacent church, and they have 11 off-site parking spaces allocated to them at this location. So the proposed project, well, first of all, the project site, which consists of those 2 lots, is currently developed with the Development Center for Children called Bright Start. There are also 2 residential units on site and 2 residential parking spaces. The project before you today consists of the conversion of the existing 400 square foot accessory structure that's located in the rear of the property, an increase in staff, and increase in enrollment. So the discretionary application before you today is the amendment to the conditional use permit, and the items under that would be the conversion of the accessory structure to the classroom. It's currently a storage building, an increase of enrollment from 60 to 75 children, and an increase in staff from 5 to 7 members, and also a determination that the project is categorically exempt from further SEQR review under Section 15301 in regard to existing facilities. So the site history for the project, this Child Development Center has been in operation for 30 years. I was just told, I think next month it's its 30-year anniversary. The Planning Commission did approve a conditional use permit back in 2006. At that time, the enrollment was increased from 27 children to 60. There was a conversion of the first floor of the 1621 Anacapa Street building. It was an apartment building, and the first floor was converted to classrooms. And the carport in the rear was converted to an accessory building for storage. There are 2 on-site parking spaces for the residential units and 11 off-site parking spaces for the Bright Start. And I note here that no modification, back in 2006, Bright Start had requested a parking modification as part of their conditional use permit. That part of the project was denied. They wanted 7 off-site instead of 11, so the Planning Commission denied that part and required the 11 off-site parking spaces. Here's a photo of the main entry to the site. As you can see, here's the entry gate area, and this is the building at 1621 Anacapa. Gives a residential feel still from the sidewalk there. Here's the proposed site plan. So I have circled up here in the back of the site. This is the location of the accessory structure currently. So this would be converted to the classroom, and then this shaded area would be the new permeable pavers in the patio and walkway as part of this project. And then also where the arrows are is a Bright Start bicycle parking space here, and one here on the lower left for the residential. The proposed classroom has some as-built changes that were made in the field back in around 2006, 2007. There was a door over here on the west elevation. In the field, it was switched over here to the front of the building, and then another new window was added in this location. So as part of this approval would be allowing those changes. And then a new change would be, instead of the roll-up door that is there currently, to better provide a better use for the classroom, a folding door would be put in this location. Here's some photos of the building we're talking about. This is in the back of the site. Again, here's where the rolling door would be. Excuse me, the rolling door is and the folding door would be in this area. The project is consistent with the zoning ordinance and the general plan. For zoning, it meets the vehicle parking requirements. It provides the bicycle space that's required for Bright Start and also provides one additional space for the residential unit. And it qualifies for the small addition category of 400 square feet allocation. In regard to the general plan, child care facilities are community benefit land uses, and there's an increasing need for child care services in the city. These are the standards for daycare centers in the zoning ordinance. One, location of outdoor activity areas. The outdoor activity areas shall be located in a manner that is compatible with the character of the surrounding area and that minimizes significant detrimental noise impacts to adjacent properties used or zoned residential. Back in 2006, for the approval of the CUP, the project was required to install a new fence, a sound wall fence, which they did at that time. In regard to passenger loading, facilities shall be provided for loading and unloading passengers, and that is what was done at that point in time. The whole area in front of the project was painted green for short-term loading and unloading passengers. You have conditions of approval attached to your staff report. Those conditions supersede the previous conditions from 2006. But the hours of operation remain the same. They are from 7:30 to 6, Monday through Friday. And then the special events remain the same. They just have one special event per year. And the existing off-site parking agreement, they do have one, but it has not been recorded. And also we need city signatures and a city standard form to be recorded. So that was added to their conditions of approval for this project. There are a number of conditional use permit findings. I'll go through each of them. The use is allowed in the zone with the CUP. The use has been deemed desirable and is consistent with policies of the general plan that encourage child care. The use has been in operation in this location for over 2 or 3 decades and has not been detrimental to the surrounding properties. The design of the project, which include the minor exterior changes to the existing structure, would not be detrimental to the surrounding properties. The hours and manner of operation have not been a nuisance to the surrounding residential uses. There is adequate access to the site and off-site parking is provided. And the overall project is compatible with the character of the area. Therefore, our recommendation is to approve the amendment to the conditional use permit, making the findings outlined in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval in Exhibit A. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Next, we will hear from the applicant. We have, I believe, Steve Fort will be the presenter. So just when you start, introduce yourself, let us know where you are from and how you're related to the project, okay?
Yep.
Thank you. And Mrs. Esparza, will you be keeping time? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chair Bonderson. Steve Fort with Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting. Also here with me today is Nicole Biergil from Suzanne Elledge Planning and Permitting, Kevin Dumaine from Design Arc, and Marcella Caceres and Maria Johansson from Bright Start are also here. In the interest of time, I might go through this pretty quickly so as to try not to be too repetitive with what Ms. Kennedy just showed, because there is some repetition in here, and I'll try to be brief on some of that. Oh, and I'll turn that on. There we go. So Again, they have been in operation for 30 years. Childcare increasingly in demand, and from what I understand, they have a significant wait list, and they're not the only ones that have a significant wait list. We're looking to increase the enrollment to from 60 to 75, and staff from 5 to 7. We talked about, the only real structural changes to that accessory structure at the back of the property. Permit some as-built conditions, the door and the window, and add the bifolding doors. That additional square footage allows them to, from the state's perspective, have those additional students and staff and to increase that service to the community and meet that need. We talked about the parking agreement, and we understand we have one in place, but it's not a city parking agreement, and we'll need to execute that and record that as a condition of approval. No changes to the hours, and that one special event a year is not proposed to be changed. I think Ms. Kennedy addressed the improvements that have been done and proposed to be done to the accessory structure. So I'm going to kind of skip over this, and if we want to come back, we can. I think Ms. Kennedy showed the proposed layout with the bifolding doors here. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. Some additional photos of the area. I think everyone was there either Monday or Tuesday morning. It's tucked back in there pretty nicely in a residential setting, but it's kind of an infill daycare center back there where they can kind of do what they want and mind their own business, and visually and hopefully from a noise perspective not be too impactful to the neighbors. And like it was mentioned, they have put up some fencing as a result of the previous approvals to try and manage noise as well. Parking, we talked about, there's the 2 on-site spaces, and I've also highlighted the bike parking space there. And they do have the agreement with and continuing forward, they have the agreement with the church across the street, and just showing the proximity of that. There's a good crosswalk there at Anacapa and Valerio for people to use. And I should add, my understanding is the church has been very flexible. They lease 11 spaces from them. They kind of let parents do their thing over there as needed, and they've been pretty flexible and cooperative with the operations. And just to show you that their spaces are well marked over there at the church in some of these photos, just a shot of the parking lot and the marking. Just some miscellaneous items, stormwater and ADA. Ms. Kennedy talked about the walkway with the permeable pavers we're proposing. The structure is likely, once we get to the building department, presumably we get approved today, it's going to need a fairly simple sprinkler system, probably some structural hardware tie-down type stuff, insulation, heat. Lot tie agreement is already in place that ties these 2 lots together. We already talked about the parking agreement and the events. CUP findings, it is an allowed use with a conditional use permit in these 2 zones. There are 2 zones involved, one for each property. As demonstrated in the staff report and the general plan, there is this need, continuing need for daycare services. We feel like we're consistent with the goals of the general plan and the goals of the 2 zoning districts, providing this service in sort of a transitional zone where it's a mix of residential types and businesses, multifamily, single-family, some businesses. And then another goal of, I think it was the RM zone, is to support that daily life of neighborhoods, and we think we fit into that pretty well as well. I'm forgetting to skip ahead here, just reading along, sorry. In terms of health and safety and welfare of the neighborhood, we think we're definitely, or in the community, we think we're definitely a benefit to the general welfare of the community. We're not substantially changing the appearance of the 2 parcels, and this will ensure that they can provide services for an additional 15 kids moving forward. We don't feel like we're creating a detrimental impact on the surrounding properties. Like I said, it's an infill, it's an existing use there. maintaining that residential character, and the physical change to the site is very minimal. With regard to not being a nuisance to the property in the area, they've been there for almost 30 years. They've been adhering to their hours of operation. They've installed those noise attenuating elements. And again, it's infill. It's kind of confined to the rear of the site back there where it's pretty private back there with minimal impacts on the neighborhood. Access and parking, we've talked about that. They have adequate parking. The drop-off, as some of you have seen, is relatively smooth. I've seen it a few times and was kind of questioning it myself when you guys scheduled a site visit at the time of drop-off, and I gave it some hard thought. But it's been proven to me as well that drop-off is really relatively smooth, and it works out pretty well. And they have people out front greeting people, keeping things moving along, keeping cars moving along. In terms of compatibility, I think they've proven that they're compatible with the area with regard to the appearance of the property, the operation, building and landscaping is generally remaining the same. So with that, I'll close and we can take any questions from you folks. Again, we're meeting a documented need. We're an asset to the community. We're providing a public benefit. This will allow them to slightly expand their services with very few physical changes. Schools inherently have siting challenges, and sometimes there is some trade-offs with some temporary traffic impacts. They do their best. They continue to educate the parents, and they're out there monitoring the situation. This is a downtown location that's convenient for folks, near employers, and we're in this sort of transitional zone between commercial and residential. And, in closing, we're consistent with that general plan, and these types of services are encouraged, and there's a continuing need, and we're addressing that. And with that, I will close, and we're available for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Fort. And you may not need it, but you have about 7 minutes, 7 seconds left if you'd like to come back up at any point to answer questions. Is there anyone else who may like to speak at this time?
You want to say anything, Marcella? Yeah? Okay. Just introduce yourself.
Please go ahead and introduce yourself and your relationship to the project, please.
My name is Marcela Cáceres Gelinas, and I'm the founder of the school right now. Okay. I'm
You
the
can bring it down, pull it down.
There.
There you go.
I'm the founder of the school. I'm very passionate about children, and I just love what I do. And I think, I would love to have those more families to come in and enjoy it. And I want to thank everyone for your consideration.
Thank you so very much. And again, I just want to extend the information that if you do choose to come back up to respond or comment or answer questions, you have 6 minutes and 40 seconds left to use it, as you wish, or you may not use it at all. All right, very good.
Here for questions.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're going to take public comment with direct relationship to this project. Ms. Esparza, do we have any remote or in-person comments at this time?
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. Starting with in-person comment, I do have one speaker slip for Sunny Palta. Sunny, if you can please come up to the mic here, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Sunny Palta, father of multiple children who have gone through Bright Start. Big fan of the curriculum there. I've been in Santa Barbara for 7 years. My oldest is 6. He went there for a full 4 years. Another daughter who is now 4. She's been there for 2 years, and my newborn will be going as soon as he is age eligible. And just a big fan of everything that they've brought to the community. We have a running joke amongst the dads group that your kid will leave Bright Start really emotionally intelligent, completely able to read, but he'll be a little bit soft on the soccer field, and you got to coach him in that part. And we're okay with that. The staff there has just been such a great asset to the family, and I think more great kids coming through this place is just a net positive impact for Santa Barbara. In terms of the parking and the drop-off, it's like a school. It's kind of what you expect. There's the helter-skelter in the morning, and It zones out pretty quick. People are in and out on their way to work. I think in the 4 years, I've been running morning drop-offs pretty much every day. And maybe one time I got a slight little, please don't block my driveway out of 4 years. So I'll take that as like I'm batting pretty good. 1 out of 600 drop-offs. I'm okay with that. And I never did it again. And everybody's really good about that from a transitional and traffic perspective. But just, again, a big credit to the staff and everything they brought to the community, and big fan as a parent, so I hope they're able to add some more children into the community, into their educational system. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today and providing comment. Mrs. Sparza, do we have anyone else, either remotely or in person?
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. I do not have any more speaker slips, and we do not have any virtual participants. We did receive written correspondence from Bill Bukowski, Seth Althauser, Pat Saley, and Eileen Monahan, which was distributed to commission prior to the hearing. Back to you.
Thank you. Yes, we received those. So now I'm going to go ahead and open this up for our question period. And if you would like to ask a question at this time, please hit your button and I'll call on you. We have Commissioner Bauke, please.
Question to staff. Could you walk me through the bicycle parking calculations that apply to this project?
For the Bright Start, only one is required. It's 1 per 7 vehicle spaces required.
Oh, it's related to vehicles, not square footage of the operation? I just-
I apologize. If I read my own staff report, I would have told you that it is one space required for 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
So ends up being 1.7, which rounds down to one space.
And that's because the apartments aren't counted, that are on site aren't counted into the number?
So that's for the commercial part, and then we look at the residential separately, and there are none required. It's a mixed-use building, so under the code, it's not.
Okay.
For that number of units, 2 units, there's none required. But as I said, the applicant has provided one.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question I have.
And thank you, Commissioner Bauke. Next, we have Commissioner Boss, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 2 questions for the applicants. First, a question about, I understand just anecdotally that there is an incredible need for quality, affordable childcare, and I'm wondering if you can tell us how long is the wait list? How many families or potential students are on the wait list?
You're welcome to come up, or you can share the answer and he can relay it.
Commissioner Boss, I'm told it's 200 plus.
Thank you. Another question for the applicant, and this may be for the child care providers. We've heard a bit about just the morning and the afternoon drop-off and pickup traffic. Can you tell us about how any concerns are mitigated, communications to the caregivers about not double parking?
And go ahead and pull the mic down.
Sorry, I'm short, yeah. So the drop-off is 8 to 9, so really they have an hour to drop off. So the parents who really want to hang out a little bit, which I encourage for community, they need to park in the corner, and the ones who are in a hurry, they drop off in and out. So they have 1 hour, and so it's very smooth, I would say. And the pickup is 12:15 to 12:30. We're out there, and they're just coming in and out. We call them on a walkie-talkie, they're out in a minute. So that's quick. And the 4 to 4:30 is the other pickup, so we do another 30 minutes, so it can be, smooth. So that's all the pickups. My teachers park on the parking lot, some walk, some ride bikes. So it's not a problem. I mean, we have plenty in the church. If they need to stay because they want to hang out, they can park in the church. But generally, they're in and out, like rotation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Boss. Next, we have Commissioner Wiscombe, please.
I just have a follow-up question for you, please. Are there two two sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session?
Yes, there is a morning session, and then I will have like 15 families who go home at 12:15 to 12:30, and then the afternoon session.
Okay, so no child stays for the whole day?
Yeah, they stay.
Oh.
Only, we'll say 10 go at 12:15, and the rest
Oh,
stays.
okay, so they have the option of either
Yes, they have
staying
the
the whole
option.
day or just half the day?
Yeah, the little ones stay more half day. the
Right,
two-year-old.
okay, thank you for the answer to that, great. And I just had one more question, I think it's for Ms. Kennedy. The allocation of the square footage from the small addition category, that's, I understand Planning Commission gets involved when it's 1,000 square feet or whatever it is, but is this an administrative allocation then?
Yes, essentially
Okay.
administrative, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wiscombe. Next, we have Commissioner Lodge, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I happened to be there during the pickup time in the afternoon, and I got there about 4:15, and I did notice some double parking as I was looking for a parking space. And I also noticed that I think there are 3 or 4 green zone parking spaces, which is 15 minutes, is that correct? And somehow they had a look as if those people might be there for longer than that. And I was wondering whether 1 or 2 of those spaces should be painted white for pickup spaces. Isn't that the color that's
It's gr-
used for that?
Well, it was
And if
decided
that
back. I'm
might
sorry.
free up more curb space.
Well, back in 2006, it was determined that they should be green, the 15-minute green, and it's actually, turns out to be about 5 parking spaces instead of 4, but it was
Oh.
part of the approval to have those available short-term for loading, and that they would be green. We wouldn't want longer term.
Yeah, I just wonder how much on the edge, outer edge of downtown, it gets monitored by the police department, and that perhaps people are aware of going to their other offices and other businesses there, whether they were being occupied for longer than the 15 minutes. I guess you would have to do some research on that to find out.
Yeah, we don't have any information
No.
on that now.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Lodge. Commissioner DeLuccio, please.
I have 2 quick questions. Are those spaces exclusive for the school, the green spaces, or anybody can use those?
Anyone can use them, yes.
Okay. I have a question for the applicant. If you can put back up the, you went quickly through the design portion of it, and the page with the doors on it. Yeah, there we go. The south elevation. So currently, oh, I see. It went really fast because I see the door at the end. That door is going to remain, correct?
Yes, that door on the left is going to remain, and then there'll be bifolding doors where you saw the garage door.
That's what I thought, but when looking at it really fast with those
Sorry.
little arrows going through it, it looked different. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Fort, you're welcome to stay at the podium. I'm going to ask a couple questions of you. I believe, oh, Commissioner, no questions, okay. So my first question is, just out of curiosity, if there's ever been any consideration by the owners or managers, operators of Bright Star to possibly use the parking lot where they have the spaces as a type of drop-off pickup and have the parents walk the children across the street to reduce some of the congestion on the road?
I don't know if that's ever been considered, not that I'm aware of, but.
Please join
Want to
us.
address that? Yeah. I think it does happen.
Some parents do, and the church let me use it. They say, no problem, because they know it's just drop off, because some parents like to hang out. So they bring their child, they cross the street, they come and they stay. But there's a lot of them who are in and out. So we use both. So they had that choice.
Thank you.
because-
And I'm going to keep you there because my next
Okay.
question, you probably are the most prepared to respond. As part of your enrollment or your awareness program for the parents, do you discuss parking and basically general drop-off courtesy protocols for the street to accommodate and help the neighbors?
Definitely. When I see congestion, I go personally there.
Mm-hmm.
We are there from 12:15 to 12:30, and we are there from 4 to 4:30. So if we see that, we definitely talk about it. And but also they have the choice, and there's plenty of parking in the church. If they really want to hang out, we can encourage, more. Definitely, we encourage more because we don't even have that many teachers in the afternoon. We have a lot of room extra in our just parking lot for them to park. I think it's easier for them just to drop off, but if we say to encourage them, they will.
Yes, I had actually a very similar experience to Commissioner Lodge. After our site visit on Tuesday, I happened to be in the area in the afternoon heading home, and I just pulled over and watched. It was an experience for me because I really wanted to understand some of the public comment that was with regard to the concern. And I saw exactly the same thing, and I understand that it's probably not an everyday situation. But when you do see families possibly double parking or getting their children into the car while they're stopped in traffic, how do you handle that?
Well, we just try to move forward to just move forward, park in the corner, or, it's like a time, sometimes it's just 1 minute that happens. It's not, you don't have that constantly. You
Very
don't.
good.
But, also they're very social. They want to say hi, it's community there. So
Right.
sometimes they wait for the friend to come and, I'm going to encourage to do, and then at the end of the day, they all hang out there. They love to see each other. So how do you,
Thank you.
It's just that.
I appreciate your feedback, and I understand the socialness of the environment. You're welcome to sit. My next question's for for staff. And just to be very transparent, I did send these types of questions to Ms. Kennedy previously, so this won't be a surprise. But I was interested in asking here and maybe building on my questions having to do with whose responsibility is it or would it be if there are these types of traffic situations like double parking or stopping like right in traffic and waiting. I know that that's not part of our traffic law, but who monitors that?
Well, who's responsible are the parents. The people driving are responsible to follow the rules and do what they need to do. So, and it is up to Bright Start to talk to the parents. It sounds like they are, to remind them to follow the rules and not stop in the middle of the street like you can't do anywhere. And so it's not really up to the city to monitor it. And we did talk to transportation staff to see if there are any operational changes that would be suggested or encouraged. And there really aren't any new conditions that we would add to this project. I think it's just a matter of reminding parents to do what they're supposed to do, is drop off, short drop off, or park in the parking lot. It seems like there's plenty of room there, even more than the 11 spaces that are available during that time. It's right across the street, so they could just walk on that crosswalk and bring the children in. So I think just reminding all the parents and caregivers to be mindful of that.
And who would be the legal enforcement agent if it's not, community development or transportation? Who would it be? Would it be the police?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it would be a civil complaint.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we addressed those comments because I think they are important and we're hearing the public's concern. So it's important for them to know what they need to do and it doesn't fall on this decision-making body. And I just want to follow up with Ms. Ostringer, just a last question on this topic. Is there any option or opportunity to include a condition of approval to help encourage this type of cooperation from Bright Star to manage their parking or encourage future improvement to the traffic situation as their responsibility?
Chair Bonderson, I can't think of any. I think the transportation flow is really where it's at, and there's not a lot of space there. The if people are double parking, it's against the law. They'll get ticketed. And I think, just as Ms. Kennedy said, having the center remind the parents that they shouldn't be double parking or staying for long periods of time.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, yes, just, I'm going to have Commissioner Wiscombe jump in here, and then I reserve my opportunity to come back. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Ostringer, would it be acceptable to condition the project with a periodic reminder by Bright Star in writing to all the parents of the parking rules, whether it's an annual reminder that is required? I'm seeing some nods back there. It sounds like that would work for you.
We do.
Oh, in writing? By email. Okay, so you already do it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I offered to make a sign, like there's a sign-in table, so I said I'd make them a sign that says, don't double park or you'll mess up everything.
Right.
Going to school. We really like going there as parents, so I think that'll incentivize.
I know. I would like to have you comment again, but on the mic so it can be part of our record. Would you mind coming forward and sharing that? It was all very valid information. I want to make sure it's on the record. Thank you.
Do you want me, I could reiterate that.
Yeah, and then if he wants to add
cli-
more, he's
our
welcome
client-
to. Please.
Our client responded that they do remind the parents via email to mind the traffic laws and not to double park, et cetera.
And just remind me of your last name.
Palta, P-A-L-T-A.
Palta, thank you.
So we were just talking, there's a sign-in table where you sign your children in and out, and I happen to work in advertising, so I was joking that I would make a visually compelling reminder alongside the don't bring your kids to school sick, don't double park, because we like the school being open and we don't want to cause any issues for the community. We just want our kids to go there, so.
That's excellent. Thank you for the feedback. And before we move on, since this question was originally aimed at Ms. Ostringer, did you want to comment or say anything about the actual condition itself?
Chair Bonderson, Commissioner Wiscombe, you could include that condition if you chose.
And next, we have Commissioner DeLuccio, please. Make sure your mic is on.
I
Thank
work
you.
in advertising also, by the way. I do have a question. Just to back up, I would imagine when the parents are signing up for the children, there must be some standard procedure that you hand out, written. Are there written procedures? Is there a written policy on the parking? Maybe somebody can come up there, from the applicant or somebody, to put that into the record?
Yes, when we do our tours, we talk about where is the parking. That's the first question. It says in the corner in the church. So we can have, when we do our contract, we can say, please be mindful of the parking, do not double park. We can add it to our contract when they enroll, definitely.
Yeah.
As everything else, we have a lot of things, health, like he says, so
Right.
that can be part of it because you have to be mindful of the community. I mean, a lot of them come on bikes now, a lot of e-bikes.
Good.
That's good.
And I'm going to follow up on this as well, because at the end of the day, if this is an issue and let's say the police are called to enforce it, it's a liability on you, not as much on the individual, because that person may come, have children with you for a year or two, and then move on with their life, and that record, stays with you. So it's really important, I think, that you cover your liability, make sure that every parent that brings a child to you knows that if this happens, it's not good for your business, but it's also their responsibility to support your business, right? They want their children there.
Yes, and I do really appreciate how you changed that street so much better now. They have more space to open the door. Before it was like really close, so thank you.
Very good. So I'm going to close the question period if no one else has Okay, and at this point, I'm going to open the floor for deliberations. Any comments, any consideration to add a condition to just make sure this is recorded is encouraged. And just to please not make a motion until we're completely done with deliberations, and I'll open it up for you. Is there anyone who'd like to go first? Thank you. Commissioner DeLuccio, please.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. And I like the conversation we had, and maybe we can put a condition either here or and I think if you put it in your contract, I don't know if we can mandate that, but I would have thought it would have been in there as part of the rules when children sign up. So, but otherwise, I'm supportive, and thank you for everything you've done. It's a great benefit to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Commissioner Lodge, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur that this, with Commissioner DeLuccio's comments, as long as you do repeatedly inform the parents of the parking issue, because that we have received a couple of letters on that, and as I said, I personally saw it. So, I don't know, I suppose if the police gave some of your parents a ticket or two for double parking, they'd stop doing it, but I hope it doesn't need to go there, and that you make sure that, and just once a year is not going to do it, and they need to be reminded.
Yeah, double parking is not safe, so
No.
parents have to, be a role model.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Commissioner Wiscombe, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I, too, agree with Commissioner DeLuccio's and Commissioner Lodge's comments and support this project. And I'd just like to say my thanks for fulfilling a really dire need in our community based on the statistics I've seen for the need for child care services. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Commissioner Bauke, please.
I'll be supporting the application, and I just want to thank you for providing a very needed service to the community. I mean, full disclosure, many years ago, I was a Bright Start member, family member. My daughter's now 33 and son's 24, and they love the facility, and I love how it's evolved and expanded. So thank you for your community service.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Bauke. Next, we have Commissioner Wardlow, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I echo the comments of my fellow commissioners. We really appreciate the work that you're doing to support the community and servicing all the families that really need access to good childcare. So thank you for what you do, and I will be supporting the project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Boss, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just add my kudos and thanks for meeting the community need. And I saw a friend of a friend dropping off her children there, not double parked. And I know that she appreciates the community. So thank you for meeting that need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'm going to call on Commissioner Wiscombe again.
I just want to ask Commissioner Bauke if his daughter can she play soccer?
She was actually very good at soccer, but she wasn't the biggest kid, so.
Okay, and since we've heard from all commissioners, I will take my turn. And I just wanted to also commend you. I really enjoyed seeing the facility on the site visit. I thought it was very beautiful, and I'm pleased to see that there's a hidden gem right there in the middle of downtown. I've never noticed it before. And so, you know, increasing your numbers is clearly an important need in our community. And my only concern, as you heard throughout this hearing, was the parking, which is, again, not 100% on your shoulders because you're not the one doing you're not treating the street the way that it's being treated. That's taking place from other people, and you have a wonderful opportunity to keep informing them. I agree with Commissioner Lodge that it may need to be a more frequent reminder. Maybe it's just a regular placeholder in your monthly newsletters or your regular emails. You know, you could put a topic under your signature that just repeats every time without you having to remember to place it there, and it's just a reminder.
Yes.
I think anything you can do to encourage your community to aid in the way that you're trying to treat your greater community, reminding them to follow the rules so that you don't get in trouble. You know,
Yes.
because it ends up falling on your shoulders, even if it's not you committing the crime. It's not a crime, but, you know, we've all mentioned that a double parking situation is not good for the street, but it's also very dangerous for the children, and I don't need to tell you that. You know that better than we do, and we don't want, you know, kids to be jumping out of a car when they're stopped and there's traffic driving around them. So fortunately, it sounds like that's never happened, and you've been able to maintain it. I just want to ask my fellow commissioners here if I have, if we can go ahead and just add a very simple condition so that it lives on with the project in the event that, who knows, maybe one day this property changes hands and it continues forward with the property. How would we go about wording a condition like this? May I ask Ms. Ostringer to assist with that?
Chair Bonderson, whatever you decide you want, whether it's in the contract or whether it's through annual notices, and then we'll just put it in the
Okay.
conditions of approval.
Excellent. I see Commissioner DeLuccio. Would you like to chime in on this?
I would, because I think it should actually be added to your contract. I'm surprised it's not in there. Can't tell you what to do, but, you know, that's what my suggestion would be. We could maybe make a condition in here as part of the motion that they'll add the parking standards as part of the contract for the as part of the enrollment of the children.
Very good. Is there anyone else that may like to comment on how we could go about this? Is there any other added thought, or should we just go ahead and make a motion?
I'll make that as my motion. if-
Okay,
if you want me.
you still have the floor. Would you like to go ahead and make
I'll
your
make
motion?
that as my motion with that one additional
So-
condition.
So that it would be in the contract with regular reminders in
Yes.
whatever format they like to use?
Yes, yes, exactly, with an annual reminder. It's actually, we have to make the findings, actually. So
Yeah, go ahead and
actually
read them
would
into
be
record.
that, we can make, the motion would be that we can make the finding that it's in the EIR, it's, the CEQA guidelines is exempt, and also that we're adding amendments to the conditional use permit. And with we're just going to add one condition that, that the parking standards would be added to the contract, and and then it'd also be communicated annually to the student, to the parents.
Can we say regularly instead of annually, so
Regularly
it's
is-
more often, more frequent?
Regularly is fine.
Okay. May I have a second to the motion if you're happy with this? Commissioner Wiscombe, do you, go ahead, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have one question. Are we actually adding, is your motion to add the contract, the addition of the parking regulations in the contract to the conditions of approval?
Well, my first
Yes.
suggestion is they add it to their contract.
Right.
And then we can reference it in our conditions.
So you want it referenced in
Yes.
our conditions of approval?
Yes.
Okay, and then you are also, your motion also includes then the draft planning commission conditions of approval with the addition of adding that parking.
Yes, that
To-
be added to the
okay.
contract and communicated regularly to the parents.
And Ms. DeBusk, is there a place for that? Do you have a good place for that, under general conditions or
Through the chair,
something?
yes, we'll find an appropriate place
Okay.
to put that.
Okay, so I'll, with those answers, I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Wiscombe. I appreciate you helping us to clarify and for the second. Ms. Esparza, would you go ahead and take a roll call vote for us?
Thank you, Chair Bonderson. I will take the roll call vote. Commissioner Boss,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLuccio,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodge,
Yes.
Commissioner Wardlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiscombe,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bauke,
Yes.
and Chair Bonderson.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So For the applicant, I just wanted to remind you that this is a decision that is appealable within 10 calendar days. You probably know that perfectly well, but it's always important to let you know. And congratulations. Keep up the excellent work, and thank you for all you do in our community.
Thank you. We appreciate your consideration today and thoughtfulness, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. So now we're going to move on to our administrative agenda. We will start with the staff hearing officer liaison report. So Commissioner Boss, if you are ready, I'll let you turn on your mic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 items of interest, one from the March 22nd Staff Hearing Officer meeting. It's an item at 311 West Montecito Street. This project consists of a new 2-story, 3-room hotel on a 5,600 square foot lot, and the hotel would be an annex to the previously approved 32-room primary hotel location to be constructed across the street at 302 and 308 West Montecito Street. And they approved the coastal development permit, development plan, and CEQA exemptions. The other item of interest came to the staff hearing officer on April 5th, and this is 1635 State Street on the corner of State and Valerio. And I consider it of interest because it's a conversion from a commercial use to a residential. So instead of 8,001 units needed, now it will be 8,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. That was funny. Sad, but funny, and always a welcomed addition. One is better than none. Commissioner Lodge, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The City Council Sustainability Committee, which consists of Kristen Snedden, who is the chair, and Eric Friedman and Megan Harmon, met on March 20th and concurred with the staff recommendation to forward to the City Council a recommendation that the bicycle share pilot program be extended for an additional 3-year period under the current conditions. A comment was made by staff that it provides a carbon-free transportation alternative without cost to the city. So and it is used by some to commute to and from work. On April 3rd, they met again for a climate action plan update. The goal is carbon neutrality by 2035. They've done bilingual outreach. 1,000 people responded to the survey that was distributed, which is quite a few. It's a substantial response. And the aim is for the city to lead by example. And they already started with the ordinance, which requires all electrical in buildings. No more new uses of gas, natural gas, and with the city's zero emission vehicle acquisition policy. So and with the bicycle share pilot program. Among the things that have been in the plan to help reach the goal are planting 4,500 new trees for carbon sequestration by 2030 and to electrify 22% of existing buildings by that same year. They're close to completion of the planning phase on this action plan, and we'll be having at least one more workshop, and in the fall it will come to the Planning Commission, and after that it goes to City Council before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lodge. Commissioner Balke, please.
I'd like to report on the status of the Objective Design Standard Working Group's work product. The city just posted a visual preference survey that was undertaken, which I think all the commissioners and the community should look at. It's interesting as to the responses of what the community likes as far as different architectural types and building types versus other building types. The city staff has gathered at this point about 1,000 comments, and those have been submitted to the consultant. They are actively working through all those comments to come up with an administrative draft, which we will be seeing sometime I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but that's the report I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bauke. Anyone else? Yeah, please, go ahead, Commissioner DeLuccio.
Sorry I didn't go into queue on that, but
No problem.
HLC, a couple of things. Their March 29th meeting, there's a proposal to demolish Cantwell Market. You all know where that is in Ariaga and State, but they're proposing to construct a mixed-use development containing 6,400 square feet of commercial space, which would be Cantwell Market again, along with 27 residential rental units. And the lot is 18,000 square feet. The HLC, they requested the applicant to return after they simplified the overall design and in order to reduce the mass and give more breathing room to the adjacent neighbors. Then there's another one, help me pronounce this street, 301 East, 301 East Yalanali. There's a project in the Cabrillo specific plan across the street from Garden. It's actually diagonally across the street. It's a proposal for a 45,000 square foot commercial retail project. And it needs to return to HLC for further design refinements before this is going to come to the Planning Commission for coastal and development permits. Both projects before HLC need to make project compatibility findings required for design approvals. So that's my report.
Thank you so much. So I have my report on the most recent ABR. It was on March 20th. It was a big hearing day for them, and so I have 3 items. The first one is one that we've seen here at Planning Commission. It's at 604 East Ortega Street. You will remember it because it was the proposal for renovations to Ortega Park. And the park, just as a reminder, is considered a community park per City Council's resolution. This project received approval and continued indefinitely for an in-progress review with their comments, and a 10-day appeal period was announced. Second, we have a continued item. It came back for project design approval. The address is 425 Santa Barbara Street. This project consists of constructing a 4-story, 19-unit residential apartment building on a vacant lot with priority housing overlay, and it's going to comply with our AUD program, sorry. And this is also a project that proposes no on-site vehicle parking. I have spoken about this project before, so it may ring a bell. And this project did receive approval and continued indefinitely. I want to share some individual comments on it. I thought it was of interest. One of the ABR board members, Mr. Whelan, stated that he did not believe that the project meets the compatibility analysis criteria. There are areas without distinctive architecture structures. These areas should be designed to lead the area towards Santa Barbara's distinctive built environment. This project does not appear to be Spanish colonial revival and does not complement existing buildings, nor is it cohesive in height, scale, or character. Its livability and quality of life for residents is questionable, if not negligible. I thought that was very interesting just to share, and the 10-day appeal period was announced on that project. Lastly, I have one more project. It came in for concept review, and it's important because it was continued indefinitely to us here at the Planning Commission, so we will be seeing it. It's at 35 Anacapa Street, and it consists of a new 3-story development on a half-acre vacant lot. It is located on the corner of Anacapa Street and East Mason Street, and it proposes an airspace condominium map for development of one building consisting of 2 small 6-room hotels, corner market bodega, a restaurant bar, 2 tasting rooms, and 15 parking spaces. This project would then require a CDP, a coastal development permit, a development plan, 2 conditional use permits, and a vesting tentative map. No appealable decision was made at that hearing, and it was continued indefinitely to us. So I I want to add one more comment, but before well, actually, I'll just do that. So ABR's board member, Mr. Six, stated that he was opposed to the motion due to the west elevation and its visual effect on State Street and nearby surroundings. So that will be coming to us, and I wanted to ask Ms. DeBusk, do you have any knowledge or date in the future that they might be scheduled?
Chair Bonderson, I do not. The application is still incomplete, and really the main thing that's been holding it up is coordination with Environmental Health Services regarding soil contamination, which seems to be a common theme for a lot of our projects.
That's right, and it happens to be in a very similar neighborhood. Commissioner Lodge, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add that the Sustainability Committee met in the new Sustainability Department's new quarters, which are at 801 Garden, in case anyone wants to find them. And if you go there, don't try to get into the parking from De La Guerra Street. There's a second lower level that that's access from Garden. But that's where they are now. Don't assume that they are still at 630 Garden.
Thank you, Commissioner Lodge. If there's nothing else, I will go ahead and wrap up our hearing. I just want to remind everyone that our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for next Thursday. That's April 20th. And that will conclude our April 13th Planning Commission hearing. It is 2:03. We have a nice, short, 1-hour meeting. That's beautiful. Have a wonderful day, everyone.